This is Average Joe PT. We're all about here reducing pain, improving quality of life, reducing anxiety through education. And today I had a comment talking about, hey Average Joe, can you talk about chronic tendinitis issues? And so I'm going to talk about what you can do at home to help chronic tendinitis issues, as well as what is tendinitis and all the little jargon terms that go along with that. So stay tuned. Average Joe, here we go. All right, so I'm going to give you the skinny on sciencing tendinitis issues. Now, first of all, most things aren't a tendinitis. Tendinitis is usually the first 7 to 10 days of some sort of injury. Now, any tendon, usually long tendons in our body, are most apt to give you a tendinitis, or most issue being compromised. And so anything along, I'm going to give you the idea of a thumb today. If you see, I'm going to give you a note up there, my elbow one tendon issues. So you can go ahead and look at that one. But today I'm going to talk about the thumb. You could have it in your shoulder, your knee, or your hip. Any long tendon can be compromised, and they usually do. And it's usually because of some sort of repetitive issue. Now, 3 phases of a tendon issue. There is called peritendinitis, which is usually within a couple days. That's phase 1. Then there's tendinitis. That's what most people have in, like I said, between 7 to 10 days. And then there's tendinosis. Tendinosis is what happens after the inflammatory process has stopped, which is a normal process to kind of take the bad stuff out and bring the good stuff in. And so when that process stops and the tendon hasn't completely healed itself, it's very easy to get injured again and then start the inflammatory process over again. And so you get stuck in this chronic spot that really hasn't healed itself. And if you looked underneath the microscope, the tendon would actually look dysregular. It would not be organized. And so going off of that skinny topic of the science part of it, what you're going to do if you have a tendinosis issue, which is something that's lasted 7 to 10 days or even longer, is you're going to start the inflammatory process again to try and get it to heal itself. And I'm going to show you some techniques that you can do to help with that, and then some stretching and some strengthening exercises, in this case for the thumb, but you could do it for any other body part that can kind of get you on your recovery and all the stuff that you can do at home. Now, I'm really big into taping. So like I said before, tape till the cows come home. And I'm gonna show you a little bit of that for the thumb. And like I said before, I showed you that for the elbow before, and also for the knee. So if you want to look at one of my knee ones that I went for, like chronic knee pain and chronic arthritis, I can show you the taping techniques for that. But I'm just gonna show you for the thumb and some treatments that you can do at home to help your chronic tendon issue. Stay tuned. All right, let's go with treatment number 1. Treatment number 1 is a resting splint. Now, I'm talking about the thumb here. Now, at the elbow, you might do the taping techniques that I've shown you. You might, if it's for the wrist, we have what's called a thumb spica splint that I'm going to throw a little pic right here and right there. You can go ahead and buy that literally anywhere on Amazon, or you could go to probably Walmart or any of the places and pick up one. They come in various sizes, and so depending on your size of your hand, and you're going to wear that for several days. Now, that isn't the end all to be all. It's just until you can get the inflammation to calm down if it's hurting a lot. Now, if this is something chronic, the doctor might have just given you a splint. But treatment number 1 is we want to start the inflammatory process again. And so if whatever we're talking about, whether we're talking about the elbow, we'd work at the elbow, and I showed you that with the rolling pin. Or if we're talking about the shoulder, you might use a tennis ball to roll in there, or a golf ball to really work it. But in the thumb here, all we're going to do is we're going to take those long tendons and we're just going to gently work over them. Essentially, we're going to get in deeper as best as you can tolerate and really get that inflammatory process going again, because the only way to heal this is through the inflammatory process. And so we want to work on deep friction, deep cross friction, which is basically just strumming across those tendons to what you can tolerate. Now you might want to ice it for a good 5 to 10 minutes first to kind of numb up the area and then get in deep so you can tolerate the pressure, whether that's your elbow, shoulder, hip, knee, whatever we're talking about. If you leave some comments down below, we can talk about which specific body part you're talking about, but I'm just going to go with the thumb. It's kind of easy and it kind of show you really, but the techniques are really the same no matter where the body part we're talking about. And so we're just getting there nice and deep. You want to get that area so it's red. If that area is not red from your deep tissue massage, then you're probably not doing it hard enough. Now it shouldn't be numbing, you shouldn't have any shooting pain, but it should just be right where you're actually doing it at. A good 3 to 5 minutes, and then go ahead and rest it. You might want to re-ice it afterwards. So that was treatment number 1, just getting the cross friction massage, getting that area really heated up again. Now you might want to just tape it afterwards and do that for several days and see if we can get the thing to start to heal up itself. Now we're not doing any exercising yet. See, once you've got that thing so it's just chronic, you can't really, you can stretch it, you know, in this case stretching the thumb out, or in the elbow's case, you know, stretching the wrist out a little bit at the elbow, but we really got to get that inflammatory process going again. So this is key, that cross friction massage is key first, and doing that for several days to really try and get the thing, unfortunately flared up, but also starting the healing process again. So yes, you literally have to start back at the beginning again to try and get this dumb thing to heal up correctly. So it isn't just hanging on over and over again, and you might be taking some sort of NSAID or had a shot in it from a steroid, and all that's doing is stopping the inflammatory process, and it never really healed itself. But if we take some tape and we do a taping technique, the wrist is, the elbow I showed you, and in the hand it's not too bad either. So you're just going to come up and just kind of like this hello wave position, and you're just going to apply this tape across the thumb, kind of like so. And then obviously cut the piece off. You're going to wear this for a couple days. Essentially we're putting those tendons that start back here, then I'm going to show you a pic real quick, show you the anatomy of it really quick, right where those tendons are at, okay? And so we're going to basically put those tendons in a nice shortened position after we've done the cross friction massage with some basic tape. Now the thumb spica splint is essentially doing the same thing as what this tape is doing, but if you have some leftover tape, because you know how much I'm a tape lover, this is simple to do. Just one piece there, and then we can do another piece across. Now this is Leuco tape. You could use kinesio tape if you wanted to. The technique's a little bit different for that, but this is a rigid tape. So you want to do that, and then you want to put a piece across to kind of what we call a technique of a strain counter strain strap. So kind of put it like that, so your hand's in a kind of quasi rested position. You're not coming through and stretching out the tendons. So it's just a rested position. You wear it for a few days as long as it doesn't get itchy or scratchy. So that's a simple technique that you can do, as well as the spica splint that I showed you earlier. So we have the cross friction with the ice. We have either the splinting or the taping. And after probably about 5 or 6 days of doing that type of stuff, then you might want to start just some stretching. Same thing like I always tell you to do, 30 seconds to a minute. Don't even think about strengthening until this thing is, whatever tendon got irritated is really calmed down a lot, and then you can start strengthening. If you start strengthening before then, all you're going to do is keep that process going also. So you got to start the inflammatory process over again, and then allow your body to go through its phases, and then once the tendon is finally calmed down enough, with just some gentle stretching for several days, and then some strengthening exercises after that. So for the thumb, it's really simple to do some strengthening exercises. Some people will use a rubber band and they'll just open and close. Some people will use a rubber band and just open the thumb, open and close with a rubber band, just kind of holding it back like that. Pretty simple to do. With the elbow, all you're doing is at the wrist opening. So you could use a soup can or anything like that. If you're talking about the shoulder, that's a whole other probably discussion that we can talk about. If this is more of a shoulder problem, we can go over that. Just leave some comments down below. But that's essentially it for a tendon issue. If you have any more questions, go ahead. Like I say always, leave them down below. I'll try and get to them. And then if I need to make another video like I did today, I will. That's how loyal I am to my subscribers and people that are just coming. And so, like I always say, look up and keep smiling.